All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we're talking about movies where the main character maybe got punished from by the court, the justice system, and their punishment was having to do some sort of community service, coach kids, do something like that. Things in that realm. That's what we're talking about today in the Junction. We got some good feedback, some funny feedback, some not so funny feedback. So we'll get the fan submissions. I'll give my 1 cent opinion on it all. We also got some quality LPDS universe current events that we'll get into, plus a pretty fun Cage fact that I'm looking forward to coming up here soon. So all that's coming up right now. All right, jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. Hope everybody had a good week. Mine was busy and filled with a bunch of stuff going on. Great weather, though. A couple days of rain, but really not terrible. I love the heat that we got going on here in Texas right now. It's right up my alley. I could just D-shirt in the middle of the day right outside. It's wonderful. So I'm enjoying that. But I want to get into some things that happened when I got back from guard duty 2 weeks ago. By the time you're listening to this, it'll be basically 2 weeks ago. But I got back from guard duty. A lot of things going on, by the way. First, I had a pest problem in the house. Okay. I don't remember if I mentioned this or not yet. I don't think I told this story, honestly. Stupid me. I forgot about it. But I had a pest problem in the house. I was hitting the sticks with the creature. Here, let me rewind. I'm missing some key details here, okay? It's a weeknight. Weekday. We'll start with the day. I keep forgetting. Let's go all the way back. Rewind. Maybe a Wednesday afternoon or something. I'm at work in my office, which is this, and knock on the door, and there's this kid, younger guy, coming in. He's from a pest solutions company. Like, well, I forgot the name of it. I'm not even going to give him a mention because I think they're a scam. I'm more on that in a bit. He's telling me, hey, I'm going, or he's a very aggressive sales tactic, but I respect the hustle here because he's out in the heat going door to door, which apparently has been reinvigorated in this day and age. I think because people know a lot more people are working from home these days, so they have a chance to really get in there. You can't really call anymore. The spam calls or the telemarketing is kind of going by the wayside because of not call waiting, you idiot. Caller ID, and you can block and you can see spam calls and stuff like that. But they know people are at home more often these days because that's where they work now, a lot of us. So they can get in there and they can attack the vulnerability of a family, which is the human element. Find the weak and exploit them like a lion. So that's what I think they're doing. That's why it's more popularized these days. It's back. Anyway, this kid is telling me, going around the neighborhood. I just scheduled an appointment with Austin down the street. No idea who the hell Austin is. I think he was trying to do the whole like building rapport, like, oh, I'm part of your community. I know Austin, and I assume you know Austin too. So now there's a comfort zone. You can put down your barriers. I wasn't having it though. Okay. My life is a barrier. All right. So this kid, I think his name was Duncan, Fred G. Duncan, and it was not working. But like I said, I respect the hustle. I know exactly what he was doing. We all been there, I'm sure. Anyway, schedule this appointment at Austin. We got our initial pest control services, and then we offer monthly services for the rest of the 6 or 7 months or whatever it is. This is what the prices are, but for you, I'll give you a special rate. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get you scheduled for like Thursday. So let me know what time of Thursday is available for me to come over. Like the exact thing you try to do when you're pitching sales, if you will, when you're pitching a product, snake oil, whatever it is, you try to lock it in that sale, and you communicate in a way that almost makes a decision for the customer. Like, oh, I have this available, this date. Here's the time window. Let's lock it in right now. It's easy. I just idiot proofed it for you. All you got to do is click here on my little iPad and it's done. Well, again, I'm not having that. All right. I do need pest control. Everybody in Texas does. If you haven't lived here in Texas before, pests might as well be family members. They're all over the place all the time here. You got spiders, hornets, fruit flies, cockroaches, everything. I even have some snails crawling around. So I get it. I know I need to do it, but I was not going to be told when to do it. Once someone tries to tell me when I'm going to get pest control, I'm not having it. Well, I got the guy's card. I was like, look, I'll call you next week. I'm busy. I'm not doing it now. I don't care about your special. He tried to offer me a special rate, quote unquote, where he was doing me a favor. Spoiler alert, it was not a special rate. It was actually a rate that they were offering a fake regular rate, and then they were bringing it down to what they were calling a special rate for people, and it was their actual regular rate because I looked it up on their website, and it's also almost double what everybody else charges in the area for regular rates and services. So anyway, I was nice. I told him, give me your card, blah, blah, I'll get to you next week. Fine, dandy, good. I go out to do some errands. I come back. This is several hours later, and I see a cockroach in my garage. And I don't think anything of it really because, like I said, there's cockroaches, there's pests all over the place. I saw cockroaches when I was hanging out with the creature down by his neighborhood, all like the alleyways and stuff behind stores, storefronts, they're loaded with cockroaches. It's just part of Texas. But I saw this in the garage, and I was like, all right, well, I got to get it done. I'll call the guy next week or whatever. So I go inside. I feed Randy, I do my thing, and now it's time to hit the sticks with the creature. All right? And this is what I live for these days. This is what I live for. This and the LPDS. So I'm hitting the sticks, and I feel the wire on my headset is bothering the back of my neck. So I go like this to scrape it off. If you're looking in YouTube land, like this, and I look to the right on my right shoulder, and there's a roachy on my shoulder. And it was apparently it was not the wire. It was a cockroach. And like any tough, combat-proven, salty veteran man would react, I screeched like a girl. I couldn't get my headset off to mute myself, so the creature had to hear me screeching like a girl practically. He can tell the story. He could put it in the comments how I really sounded. But I jumped and I shimmied and I gave a little shoulder juke to get him off, to get this roachy off me. And in the heat of the moment, I couldn't see where I launched the cockroach. Like what I wanted to do is I wanted to launch him off into a visible area and then stomp on him and let him know who's boss, that he can't just get away with infiltrating my safe space. But in the heat of it, I was tunnel vision, fog of war. It happens to the best of us, in the veteran community. I didn't see where he got launched to. So for the next hour, I'm playing sticks, standing up, walking around my living room on the move, waiting for this cockroach to pounce again and to, respond in kind. Because now we're in combat. Okay? I don't know if any of you have ever fought in war before like I have, with the medals to prove it and the PTSD of the war pain. But now we are in heated combat. Okay? He made the first move with his sneak attack, trying to infiltrate. And when he got caught, now it's on. Act of war by the cockroach. So I'm all over the place. I'm thinking of strategic level sort of plans and mission sets that I can go after to get this cockroach and still maintain my ultimate goal of sticksing with my friends. So I'm standing, I'm moving, I'm looking around, I'm trying to look between the couch cushions because it seemed like at the time that's where he was coming from, the couch. I was looking in the fireplace area, corners, behind boxes, underneath things, still playing sticks. Got to play sticks. And that's one thing, that's a skill set you'll learn in war that nobody else will understand. All you normies out there, you civilians, will never understand the true level of multitasking under stress. You have a goal that you have to attain. There's a mission. And no matter what's going on around you, no matter what side mission is going on, you have to attain your main mission, your strategic mission. We talk about that actually in Spearhead Leadership, about visions and mission sets and values. So go check that out. Go sign up. My ultimate mission was sticks. My side mission, my contingency, which happens in combat, was Rochi. Okay, so I had to figure out a plan on the fly in a high stress environment to take out this Rochi and still achieve mission success. So I'm up, moving. After about an hour and a half, I figure his tactic, as most Rochis do, they're not very smart. They're slightly cunning, but their brains are tiny. So they can only hold so much up there in their noggins. So I have that going for me. He was probably doing what most cockroaches do, is when there's lights on and they're out and about, they run. When there's people around, they run and hide into a safe space. So that's what I figured he was doing now. He's now playing possum. Now his strategy is to try to wait me out. Because his strength is that guerrilla warfare. Sneaking up, sneak attacks, getting in your ear, grabbing onto your brains and controlling you. And now all of a sudden you're asking for sugar water. But I maintain vigilance. I could sit down a little bit comfortable. I'm trying to ease him out now. Now I'm trying to play his game against him. So I sit down. I say a few things out loud, like, oh, I guess the coast is clear. There's no more cockroaches. I guess he's dead. Just to kind of, make him comfortable, if you will. And I will, because I did. After another 45 minutes to an hour, I'm still hitting sticks with creature. And out comes the cockroach. He starts slowly scurrying out from underneath my command center table in my living room. And now he's in open fields, open range, like Gettysburg. And I give a quick, oh, and then I go silent because I don't want to alert him that I knew that I was double cross. I had him. I was trapping him in his own game. Like Enemy at the Gates when Vasily Zaitsev double tricks Ed Harris. Ed Harris is trying to trick Vasily Zaitsev into coming, be invisible so he can snipe him. And then Vasily Zaitsev double tricks him and gets Ed Harris to be visible so he can snipe him. That's what I was doing with the cockroach. So I had to make sure I maintain silence, combat silence. I gave a quick up. And then I got up quietly. I'm still sticks in. And then I stomp. So quiet and so tactically efficient that even my aggressive guard dog, Randy, didn't even wake up. He was dead asleep, dreaming about God knows what, licking himself. Now, to make this story longer, I start thinking back to why all of a sudden I have a cockroach problem. And then it hits me. Duncan may or may not have planted cockroaches and pests around my property to coax me into calling them for their services because they were already there. We got to get it done soon. I'm already overrun with cockroaches because they say if you see a cockroach in your house, one, it's likely they already have a nest in your domicile and they're multiplying feverishly. So I think that was the tactic Duncan tried to pull on me. But again, I wasn't having it. I am a walking barrier. My life is a barrier and a wall, and my guard is always up, for better or worse. Probably for worse, but it's always up. So I think back, I was like, this son of a bitch. Well, I'm not going to let him have the last laugh here. So I go off to guard duty. I'm like, forget it. I'm going to make him think I'm not calling him. And then I come back from guard duty Sunday night to a whirlwind of events. I'll get to the other ones in a second here. But now I walk into my bathroom and there's another dead cockroach. So that's 3 cockroaches in 3 days. Well, who knows how, when the bathroom roach came around, but 2 in 1 day. Duncan Day when he came by, and that one when I came back. So now I knew I got a real problem. Even if Duncan planted them, they nested. In that time frame, that's plenty of time, a full weekend to do cockroach sex and nest and multiply. Definitely happened. It definitely happened. So I got to do something about it. Well, I started doing some investigation on this pest control company that Duncan had. Then the first thing I noticed right off the bat was that their prices were egregious. The next thing I noticed was that the most reviews they had, the most popular reviews were 1-star reviews saying that they don't actually provide the service they say they're going to provide. They're trash. They're probably a scam. They're probably just spraying water around the house and not any sort of pesticide or anything. So I almost let the shittiness get the best of me and not follow the big 3. And I almost made a review myself and commented like, I'm not saying that they did, but I'm also not saying that they didn't plant pests in my house so that I can use their services because they were in town. But I chose not to do that. I chose, the higher ground, because that's where the combat victories are always won. Higher ground most of the time, unless you're really good, like in D-Day. Anyway, I call up like Orkin or somebody. They take care of it for like half the price. I haven't seen a cockroach since, but that's what I was dealing with last week going into guard duty. Coming out of guard duty, though, we got a sad update in the community. My neighbor, the old man, a 95-year-old man who took 4 hours to get his mail every day, actually did pass away. It hurt the heart a little bit to hear that. So I think I discussed a while ago, there was an ambulance at the house. We didn't know if he was gone because the family kept coming by to the house every day. Well, I found out that he did, in fact, pass away. So I asked the daughter, hey, are you guys coming? You guys keep coming to the house to clean the house out or whatever? And she said, no, my mom still lives here. Now, I didn't react, but internally, I wanted to say something again because the old man himself specifically told me that his wife had died years ago. Now, I also know he told me he had arthritis. He might have wanted to tell me he had Alzheimer's, but forgot, and also forgot that his wife was still alive because they're still coming around. His wife is still alive. In fact, I actually saw her earlier this week. She's 150 years old. She looks like the lady from the original movie House on Haunted Hill, an old black and white Vincent Price movie. And there's an old witch lady who's supposed to be like a ghost or a spirit floating into a room, but it's really just a lady. I think I talked about it here on the show before, where she's just wheeling in. They have her on like a little cart, like a dolly, and they're clearly wheeling her in because you can see how she's bouncing around with the wheel, and she's like this. She looks like this, and she's like got the weird old lady face, like and she's 1,000 years old in that movie, that witch lady, because she was a ghost. She was a dead person. That's what this poor old lady looked like. She was knocking on death's doorstep as well. I have to imagine her time is her days are numbered. Now she has to live alone. That's another weird thing about this whole situation is that these two people pushing 100 years old were living by themselves, together, but without any family or any help besides their family coming to visit them for a couple hours a day. And now this old lady's doing it all by herself. And they come and they bring her food and stuff, but then during dinner time, she's all alone. So I don't know who's making dinner for her. I don't know what is going on, but this 90-plus-year-old lady is now there all alone. So I passed my contact information to the daughter, like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. I'm literally right next door. Let me help you guys because this is a sad way to live. The rest of your days in utter loneliness, that's tough. But it was sad to hear that. But before I can even have like a good cry over the loss of a senior, we got HOA drama and intrigue going on here. So I get a letter from the HOA. I got 2 letters. The first one is about how they think my lawn is too long. And if I don't cut it in the 10 days from this letter, then I'm going to get fined or whatever. Give me a break. My lawn was mowed the week prior. It's not too long. It's just some old bastard who probably doesn't like me or something because I'm young and spry and he's old and dilapidated. And he just tried to write me up. Well, I'm not going to let that happen again. So good luck with that, buddy. I'm going to let the damn thing grow to a forest. Anyway, the other letter I got was an official statement from the board, the HOA board members, to discuss the recent rumors of election meddling and corruption going on within the board. So there's an election for the new president this year. It happened last week, and they sent out absentee ballots because everyone had to vote by mail. And apparently, there was some questionable activities by the board on how they sent the biographies out of the people running, and somebody thought it was done on purpose to sully the votes and make sure that the incumbent president won, and that the challenger, I forgot the name, not challenger, the guy running the guy running against the incumbent. There's a political word for it. It's not challenger. Somebody's Dom DelPio is probably screaming in his car right now, telling me what the right answer is. But I'll get it eventually. And contender? Nope, that's not it. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, so they put out an official statement that none of that was going on. This is why the biographies were sent out the way they were. Nothing to see here, folks. And then in regards to the other accusation, apparently someone was walking around door to door, one of the residents, spreading these rumors that they were election meddling and that the board was corrupt and that they were taking kickbacks from contracted companies and landscapers and the trash people that were doing all the work in the neighborhood. They were getting some kickbacks on it, and that rumor was spreading like wildfire. So they put out an official statement that this is also not going on. Our records are public. You can see our finances. And here's the thing about that. First of all, it's an HOA. Nobody gives a shit except for the old ladies who have nothing else to do but watch the Weather Channel and gossip about the other people in town from their windows. So I don't care about the esplanades that they have to get landscaped and put flowers in every year. All I care about is that the trash people that they contract out pick up our trash and that they protect the neighborhood and keep it, safe. And that I have pool access so I could go get tan because I pay for the pool access. That's it. That's all I care about. I don't care who's taking money on the side and who's not. Also, that's what politicians do. Okay? They have their public record of finances that's open for the public, so that's what they're showing you. Oh, here, look, our records are public. You could see that there's no corruption going on. That's how corruption works. You have the books open into the public, and then the kickbacks are under the table. That's what a kickback is. It's off the books. Why the hell would you put in the books, oh, we took a kickback this month, we'll put it in the books so we're transparent. Hopefully nobody challenges us on it. So of course it's not going to be on the books, you stupid old bastards. Why does this need to be explained to people on how corruption works in the HOA? Anyway, long story short, the incumbent lost. He was the president for like 3 or 4 years. I voted for the other guy because I went to one public meeting and we spent 45 minutes figuring out how to protect the community center, the little building that you can rent out for parties and stuff like that. And they put a new TV in there. And the current bylaws state that when you leave the community center, you have to leave the blinds open and the light on so that the constable can see inside when he's driving by, doing his drive-by to see if there's any robbers in there. But with the new TV, people were worried about it. And the obvious solution was to turn the light off and close the blinds and keep it locked because the constable comes once a month. He's not going to need to see inside. It doesn't make any sense. We talked about that for 45 minutes because the current president was so hell-bent on making sure that the constable had full view from the outside to look inside on a drive-by to see if there were robbers inside, who apparently he thinks robbers, when they go inside a building to rob the joint, they hang around for a while and play with the toys and cook food and watch the TV and test everything out before they steal it. So he wanted to make sure that the constable, Ted Heap, was coming around his once a month and he was able to get access to that at night if he actually ever watched it and did his job. I still have yet to see Constable Heap around. So once that happened, I knew this guy is not fit to be president. He's a nice guy, but for 45 minutes to figure out how to turn lights off and close blinds, give me a break, buddy. You're not fit to tell us who's doing the landscaping on the Esplanades. So I voted for the other guy. The other guy won, and we'll see how that goes. That's all we got in the LPDS current events. Couple real current event updates for you, and then we'll get into the good stuff, I promise. The Unabomber was recently found dead in his prison cell. Ted Kaczynski, 81 years old, dead in his prison cell. 5 days ago, I thought there was the makings of a conspiracy going on, but there wasn't. I wanted to spell, spoiler alert, there wasn't, but here's why I thought that. About 5 days ago, world-renowned traitor to the U.S., Robert Hansen, was an ex-FBI agent who was busted selling secrets to the Russians for millions of dollars. Is this thing falling again? The stupid mic sucks. Anyway, he was in jail. He was found dead in his prison cell 5 days ago. He was in prison in the Florence, Colorado Supermax prison where they hold all the baddest bad guys. They're in that prison, or they're in Guantanamo Bay, but mostly in that prison. Ted Kaczynski was also held in that prison up until several years ago, apparently, when he started getting sick. Then they transferred him to a federal medical center in North Carolina to live out his days there because he was constantly sick. So I thought for a second maybe there was some sort of conspiracy going on, that they were killing off these world-renowned bad guys to keep, our attention off of something else. But it still could be that. It's less likely now. It could still be a ploy to get our attention off the fact that aliens are clearly infiltrating the United States and the world recently. A couple of government officials, U.S. intelligence officials, came out saying that, yeah, the government definitely has UFO aircraft of unknown origin in their possession. And then as soon as the government, was like, no, nothing to see here. This is a lie. These people are crazy. Even though they're not, they all have clearances. They were all vetted, corroborated individuals. A couple days after that, I think it was in Las Vegas, a cop got on his body cam footage what looked like initially like a shooting star or a meteorite or whatever, And then within seconds of that, they got a 911 call from the location of where that thing fell. And the people who called said that something fell in their yard. And then they went outside. There was two giant, like 8, 10, 12-foot tall, two-legged creatures that had the silhouette of a human but didn't look human because they had big glowing eyes and big mouths and long arms and hands and stuff, just standing out there next to this thing. And then when the cops came and the authorities came, apparently a couple of black SUVs tracked it down too. They took the cameras, the iPhones, and all the cell phones from the people in that house for quote-unquote evidence, for investigation. So there's no public footage of that yet because they took it. Along with I don't know if they took the beings or the beings disappeared or whatever it was, but they took it all and they disappeared with it to go back to their Area 51 or wherever it is, wherever they're taking them. But once again, nothing to see here, folks. They've done an excellent job of squashing the fact that there's aliens around with other nonsense going on in the world that's not even actually important. So, aliens are real. Look, I want them to be real. I told you this. I'm biased. I want the UFO stuff and the Area 51 stuff. I want that all to be real and come out. I want to know the truth. But I'm also trying to be objective that whenever the government staunchly and aggressively comes out against something, one way or another, against or for something, 100% of the time they're lying about it. And that's not a conspiracy in and of itself, okay? Just go back in history. Whenever the government has aggressively come out one way or another on a topic, denying something or telling you this is okay and safe, 100% of the time they are covering up for something else. They are lying about something. It is not what you think it is. It's not what they're telling us it is. Every single time they're lying. So when they come out and do that, it's a lie. Now, a couple years ago, they were saying, yeah, we have an investigative team that's investigating UFOs at the Pentagon, and we're looking into it, and we don't know what some of these sightings are. We're looking into it. And then these U.S. intelligence officials who were part of that team, mind you, came out and said, yeah, we got some stuff. Now the government's like, no, we don't. These guys are liars. Even though they were part of the team we said we had, these guys are liars and crazy. Like, give me a break. All right? We have to stop trusting our government these days. Okay? This is not the government of 1776 where people, despite their flaws, which they did have flaws, because I know where everyone's going to call out the credibility of them back in the day because they had slaves and they hit women and this and that. Yeah, I got it. They had flaws. They weren't the best people. A different era. I'm not saying that's excusable, but they at least cared about the country. Okay? Not lining their own pockets and staying in power. So now I'm getting hot and bothered about it because I want aliens to be so real. Anyway, those are the current events I care about this week. Now we can get into the good stuff. Okay? Let's step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by PayMe.com. Are you tired of working for the man, but aren't morally corrupt enough to make up a fake disease to start a GoFundMe page just to get paid? Then set up a PayMe.com account today. PayMe.com is the no-nonsense site that lets you cut right to the chase, wanting money without having to work for it. With multiple profile templates and customizations options available, PayMe.com allows you to beg your friends and family and followers for money without having to claim your grandma is sick or you're out of internet minutes and need an Apple gift card immediately. So to set up your profile today, visit www.payme.com and use the promo code SHAMELESSPanhandling for 29% discount on your first month of setup fees and charges. We joke about this stuff, but it actually goes on. Okay. I see it in this mic stand sucks. Holy crap, does it suck? What's the company name? I'm going to find them and write to them. Absolute gutter trash. Anyway, it's actually going on. I see it on people's Instagram accounts, social medias, Snapchats, Facebooks, and then dating sites too, on the dating apps. And obviously I see it on just the girl side because I look for girls on dating apps. But I'm sure they're doing it on the guy side too. Maybe I'll go and do a little like Tinder gay action to see if the guys are doing it too. But because I don't want to discriminate against the men here. But yeah, there's people out there that all they care about is getting paid for stuff. They don't actually want to hang out and get to know you or be friends with anybody. They just tell you straight up, give me money. Here's my Cash App. Here's my Venmo. It's in their profile. My About Me section, the description in my profile just says, here's my Cash App username. Send me money. Absolutely wild to me. But I think I like it better than the scammers and catfish out there who try to pretend to know you and want to get to know you and then tell you some excuse that doesn't work anymore to try to get money out of you. And the ones I get a lot are some family member is sick and they're the ones who have to take care of them. It's usually a grandparent, and then there's nobody else in the entire family who can help take care of this person. So they need money. And the only way they can accept money is through Google Play cards or whatever they're called, Apple Pay, Amazon gift cards, not cash, just the gift cards. And you have to go buy them and then send them the number, and then they'll be able to take care of their grandma. And then the other thing I see a lot still, and I think I discussed this in the past, is the people who tell you that they're running out of internet minutes and they need money because they really want to keep talking to you. You're super interesting and so handsome that I want to keep talking to you, but I'm running out of internet minutes. It's 2023, and I buy internet by the minute still. That's not even an option anymore, folks. You can't buy internet by the minute anymore. That's not how it works. It hasn't worked like that in quite some time, actually. So maybe this is what I think is going on. Maybe it's still like that in foreign countries because that's where these scammers are almost exclusively from. Foreigners from outside the U.S., that's foreign, trying to scam for money, and they can't use U.S. dollars. They don't have like Venmo and Cash App like that because it would have to connect to a real bank account and U.S. and this and that. So that's why they do it. Apple gift cards, payment. It's untraceable, and they can convert it into whatever they use, rubles, euros, whatever. So just go to payme.com. Long story short, go to payme.com. Anyway, the Cage fact. I don't know why I ramble about fake sponsors all the time. I do it all. I catch myself talking about sponsors like I didn't just write this 45 minutes ago. Idiot. Anyway, the Cage fact. I'm very excited for this movie to come out. He's in a movie. The trailer came out for this new movie called Sympathy for the Devil. It was filmed in Vegas, set up in Vegas, stars Nic Cage and Joel Kinnaman. And if you don't know Joel Kinnaman, he plays one of the good guys in Suicide Squad, Captain something. I forgot his real name or his character name. That he's the good guy who's wrangling up the bad superheroes so they can go fight crime together. I forgot his name in the movie. The Bone Crusher might be able to put it in the comments and remind me. It's not Captain America, but he's like a Captain America style guy. Anyway, Nic Cage is the bad guy in this movie. And if you watch the trailer, it's called Sympathy for the Devil. It's on YouTube's the trailer. Comes out in theaters 28 July. It's very reminiscent, very similar to the storyline of the movie Collateral. The movie that Tom Cruise was the bad guy in, and he gets into the cab of Ray Charles, and they go out and he's telling Ray Charles where to drive and who to go to so he could go kill guys. Well, Nic Cage is the Tom Cruise character. He's the bad guy. He's dressed up incredibly in this. The trailer looked wild. There was a couple of clear Nic Cage moments going on in the movie that I'm excited to see. So get ready for that. And it's not a video on demand, like made for TV style movie. This is going to be in theaters, like Renfield was, like Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Nic Cage, what did I tell you guys months ago, if not years ago? Nic Cage is so back. Not that he ever went anywhere, but I have to feel, and this might be the ego talking, I have to feel slightly responsible for the rocket ship resurgence of Nic Cage being a blockbuster hit these days. Winning awards, back in the mainstream on 60 Minutes. Like, he's so fucking back. Sorry, Terrence, family show. I can't even stand it. Just when you think like, oh, he's got 2 movies, he's good. He's good for a while. He's going to be quiet for a while. He's just banging out hitter after hitter after hitter this year. It's unbelievable. And he's got the cameo in The Flash coming up. He's about to be in the video game coming up. And I watched the new Spider-Man Access to the Spideyverse in theaters. And there's a to be continued there, so he might make reprise his role as Spider-Man Noir in that continuation. The guy is so damn back, but on top, he's gonna freeze to death. He's so high up. It's unbelievably exciting, and I have to. I don't want to, but I feel I have to take some credit. The LPDS, maybe I'll do a collective. We have to take some credit for this. We've been spitting Cage facts for over 3 years now. And it's finally coming to fruition. People are starting to see, once again, the greatness of the great one. That's all I have to say about that. That's the Cage fact. Moving on. Go over to the Junction, spin the logo up, because I could talk about Nic Cage all day, as you know. We're talking about, I call them punishment movies, I guess. Movies where the main character was told to go do something, some sort of community service because they got in trouble for something like to that effect. Now, there's not many movies like that. Especially after doing some more investigation, I realized there's not nearly as many as I thought there were. They all have there's a lot of similar style movies. But here, I'll give you the theory up front that I was thinking about. And it's, I'm spoiling a little bit, but it didn't come to fruition as much as I thought it was going to be. I did, we ran the study here and my theory was sort of wrong, but I thought there was just some sort of rampant like attachment that Hollywood had where they thought it was completely okay for grown adults to do criminal activity. And then instead of actually going to jail in the movies, they thought we'll put these criminals around children and have them mentor and guide and grow our future of this country. And there are some movies, I'm looking at the list here, the submissions, that actually do that. Now, there's some movies that I thought did that kind of don't, though. Still, we'll talk about them. But that was what I was getting at. That's what I was trying to think about is, why are they so okay with sending alcoholics who get busted for DUIs to go coach children's league hockey? I just thought it was a funny thing. I wanted to get your take on it and see if you had any movies get you thinking about it. I didn't want to reveal that right up front because I wanted you to just think about that sort of genre in general to come up with movies that I didn't think of or I couldn't remember myself, and you did. So I appreciate that. Sorry, I had to hydrate here over, and if you're watching in YouTube land, you can see I got the premier Crazy Fizz sparkling water, Texas's own. So we'll get right into it. The first submission, it was actually my own submission when I posted the video asking for feedback for submissions. But a bunch of people said Mighty Ducks right off the bat. And that is the movie that made me start thinking about it, because that's exactly what that is. Emilio Estevez, Gordon Bombay, gets busted for a DUI. I don't know if it's like his second or third or whatever it was. He got in trouble for doing some booze stuff. And because he's a hotshot lawyer and his boss vouched for him, the punishment he got was he can't drive anywhere for a while, suspended license, but he has to go do community service and coach this peewee hockey team for kids. Because that's what happens when you're big and rich. Instead of actually getting punished and having justice bestowed upon you, you get away with shit, and they skirt around the justice system because of your power and influence, which is why there's still no official suspects in the Epstein rape stuff, because all the suspects are big, powerful, rich people. Anyway, I digress. First thing Gordon Bombay does is he gets his limo. By the way, he's got a limo. He doesn't just have a regular driver like in a black car. He's got a limo driver. And he has this poor bastard drive right onto the ice with these kids, setting the example right up front that I'm better than you. I don't give a shit about you. If this falls through the ice and we all get hypothermia, couldn't care less. I don't want to be here, and I'm forced to be here. And that's the role model that these kids get to look up to. Now, of course, most of these kids were going through their own rough shit to begin with, so he was better than what they were dealing with at home. Some of them didn't even have fathers. Charlie Conway. And I used to think like, oh, what if the father was a dirtbag? But, it seems like his mom may or may not have been a little loosey-goosey in the bedroom, just sleeping around with any adult who had a little charm, i.e. Gordon Bombay. Anyway, again, I digress. It ended up working out for Gordon and the kids, and it went on to be a very successful movie franchise. So thank you for the submission on Mighty Ducks. The next one here is another big one, a very funny movie, Role Models. Now, if you haven't seen Role Models, it was with Paul Rudd and Stifler, the guy who plays Stifler. His name is escaping me right now. He's a good actor, but he plays Stifler in American Pie. They get in trouble because they were fighting, and they were fighting in a school or whatever, and they got busted, and their punishment was they had to do community service, so they had to go to Shady Tree community, volunteer thing, where they had to go be mentors to like big brother, big sister to these kids. And the whole movie is about how they're mentors, and they're really not. They're really shitty people, and they figure it out at the end, and then they go dress up like Kiss, and they do LARPing in the park with McLovin, and it's a good time. So that's another good one. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Adults get in trouble, and their punishment is to go mentor children. So thank you for that. Another one that's technically correct here, because I didn't say specifically it had to be children that they mentored or had to go coach, but like their punishment was to do some sort of community service or thing instead of actually getting in trouble for what they should be getting, the actual punishment for the crime that they commit. Fixing the mic again, damn it. Hold on one second here, folks. All right, I'm back. All-time garbage mic stand, by the way, if I haven't said it enough. So Anger Management is the next movie. I'm talking about it. Like I said, I didn't say it had to be about teaching kids specifically, but this plays because Adam Sandler gets in trouble for his anger. He's angry on a plane. He gets in trouble, blah, 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 and they tell him he had to go to anger management with Jack Nicholson, and he had to do all this stuff that he should have got arrested and gone to jail because he was like being violent on an airplane post 9/11. Unacceptable. But instead, of going to jail or paying a fine. They just send him to Jack Nicholson, the Joker, to go learn how to be a calmer person. Great movie. Marissa Tomei, so fine in that movie. Every movie she does, really. I mean, got the chills there for a second. Anyway, Anger Management is a good movie. Another good movie, so thanks for the submission on that. The next one here is starting to skirt the line of not really what we were talking about, but also very much what we were talking about. The movie Hardball with Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is like a degenerate gambler and a booze hound or whatever, and he gets caught up where he owes people money or whatever, and the way to do that, like the way to fix that, to this loan arrangement or whatever, was like he needed money to pay off, so he agreed, like, I'll coach this kid's baseball team for you if you loan me the money to pay off my gambling debts, or some crap like that. And he coaches a team. He's a degenerate gambler. I think there's always this scene, like halfway, 3/4 of the way through the film, where the main character sort of backslides and there's turmoil and you think the team's not going to succeed or whatever. That happens. Something bad happens, and then they come back and they win for G-Baby or whatever the hell it was. It's a good movie. Keanu Reeves is good. Keanu Reeves is an anomaly to me, because if you look at his acting, it's not very convincing for the character he's supposed to play. He plays like the same guy in every movie, but even though he's not supposed to. But he's good. Like it ends up being good every time. I don't understand it. I love the guy. He's a top tier guy, top man. And go check that movie out if you haven't watched it already. So thanks for that submission. It was a great pull. Now this submission made me laugh. And I'll tell you why. This came from friend of the show, LPDS fan, Steve McStiff's wife, Mrs. McStiff. He has not been on the show yet because we live, far away and we haven't been able to visit each other. He's also a brother in arms in the military, so he's busy, and his wife, they have kids now. So it's been tough to get together in person, but the McStiffs are big fans of the show, top tier people. And Mrs. McStiff submitted this movie. And listen, her confidence is so unrivaled. I have to give her this one. She just commented, "Wet hot American summer, period. You're welcome." Now, if anyone has ever seen Wet Hot American Summer, that movie does not one bit match with what I was asking in the question. The only thing you can possibly maybe make a slight argument on was the camp counselors in the movie, like Bradley Cooper and Paul Rudd and them. Like, the camp director tells them to go do stuff that they don't want to do as part of their camp counseling job. But none of them were punished by the law to go be camp counselors to these kids in this. It was just a movie about the standard summer camp in like the 80s and 90s, where the rich people sent their kids away to sleepaway camp in the summer so they didn't have to take care of them. And you had all these older camp counselors who just wanted to do drugs and bang each other all summer long. And every time they had to do actual work, they got mad about it. That's what the movie was. It's a really good movie, funny movie, old school. I think it came out in like 2000 or something, before Bradley Cooper was super big and all this other stuff, before Hangover and that. But in no way does it line up with the question of people getting in trouble by the law and having to do some sort of community service. But the confidence of Mrs. McStiff dropping that in the comments and just like, I know you didn't think of this movie, but you're welcome. I'm dropping this knowledge on you, and I'm dropping the mic, and I'm walking off into the sunset. It was just like I'm trying to picture her face where she's like typing it. Wet hot American summer. Nailed it. See ya. Enjoy the most perfect response to this question of all time. Good day. And in reality, it has literally nothing to do with the question at hand. I think what might have happened is she heard me say the word movie, and that's where she stopped listening and just typed in a movie, a great movie, mind you, a classic, a cult classic for that in that world. But holy shit, was I laughing my ass off when I saw that. So confident. And we need more of that in the world. It was very reminiscent of how the other fans, the Klugsters, the two Klug husband and wife, that almost never answer the question fully when I ask a question, but they're always responding. It was very reminiscent of that. But what those two do is they usually start off with a story about like how it's related to the question, and it reminds them of something else, and that's how they get off on their tangent because they're so excited. This one, I think she in the middle of her taking care of kids, and she's also like a fitness instructor, so she's back at work. She just had a kid, and she's doing triple workouts and taking care of newborns and still working and doing all this stuff. I think she just heard me say the word movie and was like, bang, got one, smashed it, see ya, Wet Hot American Summer, thank me later. Awesome. Just absolutely awesome, the confidence. We need more of that in this world. Let me tell you something. Confidence is 90+% of all success in this life. If you have the confidence in yourself, the task at hand, whatever, you are 90+% of the way there. I promise you. I promise you. It is. If there was ever a life hack in this world to get by and be successful without having to do half of the stuff that people tell you to do, half of the work that goes into it, it's confidence. If you are convinced that you can do something, 90+% of the time, you're going to nail it. And Mrs. McStiff is highly successful. And I have to imagine it's because of her absolute blind confidence in herself. And I fucking love it. Sorry, T. I know, family show. That's a double F-bomb this week. But holy crap, Mrs. McStiff had me rolling. So thank you for that. Now, throughout my investigations, I came across what I would consider honorable mentions in this category of movie that I want to mention real quick. The first one, maybe, how you doing? Marbles in the mouth. Maybe many people have not seen this movie or don't remember it. It's a Ben Affleck movie called The Way Back, where he was like a high school phenom in basketball, and then in college or whatever, he like got into alcohol, became an alcoholic, and never amounted to anything, and went back to his hometown. And like the school that he went to, like needed a coach. Their coach died or whatever, and they begged him to come back. Of like, hey, this will be sort of like your rehab. Come back and coach this team and dry up or whatever it was. And that's what he did. So it was not a court ordered punishment to go coach this high school team. It was more like a charity case by the school itself. And he had his backslide, and the team did whatever. It's actually a pretty good movie. Ben Affleck he gets a lot of hate because he made that one movie with J-Lo when they were first married called Jiggly or whatever it was, and it sucked. And from then on out, everyone just assumes Ben Affleck is Jiggly and he's a J-Lo. That's it. It's him and J-Lo, and he's nothing and she's everything. And that's just not the case. Ben Affleck's a pretty good actor. All right. And I'm going to probably catch hate for that, but whatever. So go check that movie out. The next one here is very similar in style, where it's not a punishment. It's more like what is the term I'm thinking of? Like a gimme, like a toss, here's a softball for you. I don't know. League of Their Own. This is what I'm getting at here. League of Their Own, where Tom Hanks' character is a washed up pro. He's a booze hound, and they're starting this women's league, and they're like, hey, this is your only chance to get back in the game of baseball in any kind. You can't serve in the war because you're broken. So you want to coach these women or what? And that's what he did. He had to coach the women, and he was drunk a lot. And he was pissing in sinks, and he was chasing people's kids and stuff. And he was making bitches cry and then calling umpires penises. And great movie. I mean, it's a great movie. So that was honorable mention as well. The next one that I found is Hoosiers. And maybe some of you don't remember Hoosiers. It's an older movie, 80s, younger Gene Hackman film, where he's a coach of a basketball team, a new coach of this basketball team, his local Indiana team, Hoosiers. And they have to go, play their season. It's a new coach, all these new guys. They don't know, there's the turmoil in the beginning and this and that, and they end up doing well. And in that movie, one of the kids' fathers is played by Dennis Hopper, and he's a drunk. But he really knows his basketball. And nobody respects him around town because he's always ending up in an alley drunk or on the side of a road, blacked out or whatever. But Gene Hackman takes him under his wing in a charity case and makes him the assistant coach. And there's a couple times where he has to go find him in the woods drunk and dry him out and get him cleaned up. But at the end of the year, towards the end, Gene Hackman purposely gets tossed from a game. And it forces Dennis Hopper to step up and to be the acting coach for the rest of the game. And he does it on purpose, so Dennis Hopper has to actually man up and take care of these kids and coach these kids. And Dennis Hopper comes up with this sweet play to get the ball to Jimmy Chippewa for the game-winning shot or whatever it was, and they won the game, and good movie. I got that movie was given to me when I played CYO basketball by our coach. I'm not going to mention his name because he's a respectable man. Maybe he doesn't want to be mentioned on this show. I don't know. But as a gift one year, he gave us all that movie on VHS. And I still have that on VHS. I don't know why I still have it, because I can watch it on the internet any day I want, or streaming services. I always see ads for it still. But I still have it on VHS, and I have no VCR. But that was given to us as a gift in the late 90s, early 2000s time frame, so never forget it. The last one that I have on our list of honorable mentions, and this is only because the other ones escape me. Like, I don't know of other movies that are even in this realm as much, but the last one here is Bad News Bears. The original Bad News Bears was like from 76 or 78 or whatever, and Walter Matthau plays this washed-up minor league ball player that finds his way into coaching this group of ragtag kids in Little League. And there's no evidence of a court order. It's similar to League of Their Own, where it's like a charity case, like, hey, you want to get back in the game? You're a piece of garbage. You're washed up. These kids suck. They're also menaces to society. Coach them. And that's what he does. And there's like kids ripping heaters on the mound and stuff. It's awesome. I would love to have played for that team, because there was nothing cooler than somebody smoking a cigarette in baseball, like on the field. I don't know why that was so cool to me, but I actually played with a guy, Wally. Forgot his last name. I don't even know if that was his real first name. Whose names are Kid Wally? He would rip heaters on the mound in this men's league we played for, and between innings, while he was doing his warm-up pitches, he'd be ripping like a Marb Red or a Newport or something right there, and then he just bing, fling it out, and then he was ready to rock and roll once the first batter got in. It was awesome. So anyway, that's all I got for the Junction today. Thank you guys for the submissions. They were incredible. The Mrs. McStiff submission, again, will go down. That, I love that shit. Not the forced jokes, not making up like stupid submissions just to be funny or whatever. It's when you genuinely think you absolutely crushed the challenge or whatever, the opportunity, the task at hand, and you couldn't have been farther away from it. I love that. It's because, again, it's not to make fun of that person. We're gonna roast you a little bit. We're gonna take some jabs and shit talk. That's what we do here because we're friends and family. But I love it because the confidence that people have to have in their lives is so desirable. I'm so envious of that sometimes because sometimes I'm just not like that. But man, was that great. Can't get over it. Anyway, that's all I got today. Before we go, though, the big three, real quick, the 3 pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, more genuine human being, a better leader overall in life. Number 1, exercise every day. Whatever you got to do. Go for a walk, jumping jacks, read, do crossword, meditate, pray. Get yourself healthier physically, mentally, and emotionally. Number 2, don't be a shitty person. Be a kind person. Choose kindness over shittiness. Step back when the opportunity arises to be shitty. Detach from the emotional side of things and just omit yourself from the situation. The best thing you can do. Number 3, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. Because we have good lives, folks. If you're listening to this in your car or you're watching it on YouTube or whatever it is, you got a pretty good life if you're able to do that. Okay? There are plenty of people who can't do that in our own country and probably in your own towns too. So think about the good you have in your lives and be grateful for it and don't take it for granted because you never know when it's going to be gone. Don't forget to hit the hotline, 202-670-1114. Tell anything you want. Tell me about your day. Ask me a question. Give me some feedback. Troll, whatever it is. If you got a new comedy bit you want to work out, throw it on there. If it sucks, I'm still going to put it out there for you. But send it in. Give us a call, and we'll be there. Thank you guys again for listening. I love you all. Stay strong.